Welcome to the So Much More podcast, where we talk with people in the custom window treatment, soft home furnishings industry, and so much more. I'm your host, Ciel DeGuglielmo. Welcome to today's episode of the podcast. If you are listening in real time, you might be traveling either to or from the Custom Workroom Conference in Rhode Island. If you are not traveling and you're listening in real time, you might be struggling with a little bit of FOMO. So I promise that today's podcast will not only be about those of us who are going to the conference, but this podcast is about why networking is so important. It's a really important topic for any business. It's especially important in our field because we spend a lot of time alone. If you are one of the people who's struggling with FOMO, I promise you I will make this worth your while listening to. And I also want to share that I'm 2 weeks away from my daughter's wedding, and I'm only going up there for the vendor show and turning around and coming right back. So I have a little FOMO myself. I do want to talk about why it's so important, where to find the best opportunities, and how to make the most of your connections. One of the things I also want to share with you is that there was a phenomenal new circle time added to the library. We had a meeting with Coulter about how to use AI in our businesses. I've used it a tiny little bit in the past. She taught us several ways to use it even better and even faster. And I used it to create the outline and to expand on what I wanted to say for this podcast. I found it very encouraging because it's still my voice. I asked it questions. I asked it to elaborate on things. I asked it to change how it worded things. And then I kind of rewrote a lot of it because it didn't sound like me. I'm still teaching it how to sound like me and still working out how I feel about using AI. But I will tell you that for the most part, what it did was get me started and get me feeling comfortable about using it, not letting it take over for me or not letting it do my job for me, just saving me time. And at a time in my life where I have a lot going on, it was a huge resource to be able to use. So if you're a Pro Plus member of the library, that new circle time is loaded. And Megan gave us some great information on how to use AI. So one of the things she talks about is the ethical use of it. And in that light, I am letting you know, I used AI to come up with the outline for this. I used it to check some of the resources, check being the operative word. But I was amazed at how much it provided for me without me giving it too much information. When I asked about opportunities for networking in our industry, the Custom Workroom Conference was one of the things that came up. So again, you do need to check on all of the resources and information. I didn't use it to write this podcast for me. I used it to give me an outline and to get me started. I want to talk about why it's so important, where to find good opportunities for networking, and how to make the most of your connections once you make them. So whether you're a seasoned professional or you're just starting out, please stick with me. And if I miss anything that you're doing, please be sure and share it either on the So Much More podcast Facebook page or in the library forum, because I would love to hear more networking ideas. I also want to talk to those of you who feel like you're an introvert. At the end, I'm going to talk about a few things that you specifically can do. So why is it important to network? Let's start by talking about why it's crucial, especially in our industry. Unlike mass-produced home goods, custom window treatments and soft home furnishings rely heavily on personal connections and word-of-mouth referrals. Here's why. Because trust is everything, clients are inviting us into their homes and their private spaces. Recommendations from trusted sources carry a lot of weight. Your clients need to trust who they're working with. If your client is a designer, they need to trust their vendors. They're letting you into their circle so they can better serve their clients. If it's a retail client, they're letting you into their home. So trust is really important. Secondly, you have collaboration opportunities. Most projects often involve multiple professionals, whether it's interior designers to contractors, Having a strong network can lead to more collaborative projects and referrals and repeat business. Getting those referrals is a two-way street. If you're a retail workroom but enjoyed working with the designer, be sure to refer clients when the project that you're involved is more than window treatments or upholstery. Send clients to those designers. Thirdly, you want to stay current. Our industry is always evolving with new trends, materials, techniques, technology. Networking helps you stay informed and ahead of what's going on. You can also prove yourself invaluable with your knowledge. If you're the motorization expert, then your designers don't have to be, and your retail clients don't have to be. They know that when they see how up-to-date you are on the latest trends, standards, and products, that they can rely on you. Fourth, problem solving. If you have a network and you're facing a challenge, you can reach out to your group of peers and they can be invaluable for brainstorming solutions. So frequently, library members will bounce ideas off each other in the forum and come up with great solutions. And then you don't have to be alone. So for those of us who work alone, some of us in our basements, what are the networking opportunities? First and foremost, trade shows and exhibitions. I promised I would not make you feel bad about not going to CWC, but if you're not going, you have one whole year to get ready to go next year. Events like CWC, IWCE, regional home and garden shows are fantastic networking hubs. Why are these so crucial? First of all, face-to-face interactions. When you're at these events, it offers a rare opportunity to meet suppliers, peers, and potential clients in person. There's no substitute for a handshake, direct eye contact, and making that really important first impression. Lifelong friendships and relationships have evolved from these conferences, especially for first-time attendees who meet someone who's more experienced and they form a friendship as well as a mentorship. Next, you'll learn the latest industry trends. Trade shows are where new products, materials, and technologies are often unveiled. When you attend, you are at the cutting edge of industry developments. And just like every other industry, we have so many things that are changing, so many new ideas that are coming out that it's the best way to stay on top of it. These are also educational opportunities. Most of these kinds of networking events feature workshops, seminars, and demonstrations, CWC, of course. You're not just networking, you're also upgrading your skills and your knowledge. That makes you more valuable. Workroom groups, the WCAA, a lot of these have monthly or bi-monthly meetings where they share information. I met friends that were integral to my business success, and I'm still friends with them 17 years later. You'll also get competitors' insights. You can see what your competitors are doing and position your business accordingly. If you're surrounded by workrooms that specialize in drapery, but your room and shade game is strong, offer that service to the workrooms around you. Work at perfecting your skills so you can be of service to other workrooms. But also, if you see something that's working in another workroom, you can decide if it's something that would work for you. Networking gives you a broader perspective. You'll meet professionals from different regions, possibly even different countries, and it gives you a wider view of the industry. Sometimes there are also immediate business opportunities. You close a deal or form a partnership right there on the floor. Susan Woodcock has mentioned a number of times when she's been signing people in, and people realize that they live one town away from each other. And the next thing you know, they're good friends. You never know when these possibilities are going to happen. But if you're home in your basement, they won't. So I am going to mention CWC again, sorry, but it is really an important industry event for us. It is specifically tailored for custom soft furnishings professionals, whether it's window treatments or upholsterers. It offers a unique blend of education, networking, as well as the product showcases. It's said over and over again that the fellowship that goes on in between the classes, at meals, all of the above is so important. It's an excellent place to connect with other workroom owners and suppliers who understand the specific challenges and opportunities that are in our business. Belonging to professional organizations is also important. The Window Covering Association of America, American Society of Interior Designers. I was a member of IFDA for a while and met several interior designers that some of whom I worked with during that time. So going to these smaller local meetings is connections to people close to you. Also, local business groups, your Chamber of Commerce, local business networking groups, they can connect you with other professionals in your area. Some might lead to business, but some might lead to a relationship with a bookkeeper, an accountant, a lawyer, and they would all be local to you and people who can help you out. Design centers and showrooms are kind of few and far between, but they also have events where designers and workrooms gather. So it's a perfect place if you have one near you. We've all become accustomed to doing things online, and online forums and social media groups are really fantastic. We have the forum within the library, Facebook, LinkedIn. There are groups within all of them that are just for window treatments and soft furnishings professionals. Okay, so what are some specific things you can do for our industry? I think it's most important, no matter where you are, to be genuine. Don't just focus on what others can do for you. Show a real interest in their work and their challenges. Bring samples. Have a portfolio set up in your mobile device on an iPad. Bring some samples of your work with you. They can be great conversation starters. Years ago, Susan Kostelecki came to a local WCAA meeting, and she had some gorgeous samples made up that she shared with us. Most of the panel samples were a single width wide, and they were a yard long. She put different linings and inner linings in them. She put 5 different pleats on one sample. She did interchangeable trim on some. It was a great way to share the quality of her work and to be able to discuss things like lining and inner lining. I want to jump in and take a moment to thank the sponsors who make it possible for me to bring you the podcast each week. My sponsors are people in the industry that I have personally had a connection to, purchased from, or used their services. So it makes it really easy for me to tell you about them and the great things that they have to offer. Because I feel so strongly about education in our industry, I'm thrilled that as the owner of the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library, I can use the resources of the library to help support the podcast. The library hosts the industry's largest curated collection of educational resources for the custom home furnishings professional. Membership to the library gives you access to a wealth of downloadable reference materials, videos, live events, as well as a community of support to help you develop your design, sales, and fabrication skills, and to grow or start a business. Join the library today at csfrl.org. Angels Linings would like to invite you to become part of their family. With reputable lining comes exceptional customer service. Trust them with your linings like I do. You get 2 Tootsie Pops with every bolt of lining you receive. For smiles, satisfaction, and a sugar kick all around, call Angels Linings at 1-800-450-9368. The Workroom channel is the premier online training provider for professional fabrication skills. Go to theworkroomchannel.com to browse the selection of anytime access courses created by industry experts. Watch detailed demonstration videos, download companion materials, and participate in private course discussion boards with your instructor and classmates from around the world. Start your course path today at theworkroomchannel.com. If you've listened to the podcast, you know how much I've learned from Michelle Williams. And I think most of my guests have mentioned taking at least one of her classes or gotten coaching from her. Her business is Scarlet Thread Consulting. Michelle loves to work with creative business owners to help them understand all aspects of their business and to use their gifts and talents to make it profitable. Michelle is a strategic profitability coach certified in the Profit First methodology, and she can be reached at scarletthreadconsulting.com.
I've also mentioned my membership with the WCAA, and I'm now a gold level sponsor, where education, networking, visibility, and industry discounts are just a few of the benefits that are offered to our members. The Window Covering Association of America is the only national nonprofit trade association that's dedicated to the window coverings industry and the dealers, decorators, workrooms, designers, and installers that make up our membership. Join today at WCAA.org. WCAA, where you are never in business alone. I've also been extremely fortunate to be able to work with Merrill Y. Landis Ltd. It's a family-owned and operated custom workroom and product distribution company to the trade with over 70 years of experience. And in addition to their custom work, they offer a wide variety of decorative drapery hardware. They offer stout and flare 21 fabrics. They have Roman shade operating systems and assembly kits. They have motorization and workroom supplies, and they serve both designers and workrooms. And you can check out the MYL Advantage at mylLTD.com.
This next one is sort of, I think, almost as important as showing up in the first place, and that's follow-up. After you meet with someone, send them a quick email or connect on LinkedIn to keep the conversation going. I used to feel like this was a little creepy, like Facebook friending them or following them on Instagram. But I realized that when I met someone at an event and then they reached out to me, I felt flattered and like it was a compliment. So when I turned it around like that, I thought, I'd like to stay in touch with this person. I'd like them to know I'm thinking about them. And then it didn't feel quite so creepy. You want to be sure that you offer value, share your knowledge, or offer to make introductions. The more you give in these circumstances, I promise you, the more you'll receive them. I've said multiple times that every time I have volunteered for a position, I have either met people or it's moved my business in ways I never could have foreseen if I hadn't put myself out there. This next one can be a little challenging for me. Doing the podcast has taught me a lot about it. Listen more than you talk. You will learn more and people will appreciate your attentiveness. There's someone I know that I recently had a conversation about them with someone, and I said, I feel like I don't know them very well, but every time we talk, I feel like she's so interesting. You know why? Because she's asking me questions about myself. Everyone likes to talk about themselves, and she's a really good listener. So I'm trying to channel her and ask people more questions and try to listen better. So I talked about following up. How do you build and maintain these relationships? It's not just about those initial connections. It's about nurturing the relationship. And I have a couple of ideas for you. Do regular check-ins. Reach out periodically to your contacts, even if it's just say hello, share an industry article, bitch about something that you're having a problem with. But it's that when you reach out to someone, they feel like they matter when you remember them, and that makes them feel good. Collaborate on projects. Look for opportunities to work together on an installation, refer business to each other, help out with a whole house project that you know someone is working on. It's always great to attend industry events with someone. Having a familiar face can make networking events just a little less intimidating. I talked about offering value and sharing your knowledge. If you learn a new technique or discover a great supplier, share that with your network. If you find out about a new class that taught you how to do something really great, share the source of that class with your contacts. You discover a great new supplier, share that with them. The more business that supplier has, the more they can supply to you as time goes by. This next one has not been a problem for me, but there are sometimes I have to catch myself and remember that you can celebrate other people's successes. When someone in your network achieves something really noteworthy, send congratulations, share in their success. Most of the successful workrooms I know have always said there is more than enough work for all of us. When you celebrate someone else, it's a sign that you're happy for them. And even if you are a little bit envious, offering them your congratulations does not hurt you, and it doesn't take work away from you. Just makes them feel like you're someone who cares about them. So over the past few years, being online has been our lifeline. In this digital age, online networking is really important, and you want to make the most of that. You want to keep your profile updated on LinkedIn. You want to share industry insights, and you want to join relevant groups. LinkedIn is not something I've done a good job with. So if you have any hints about that, I would love to hear them. Instagram and Facebook, showcase your best work and engage with other professionals' posts. In the past, Susan Woodcock and I did a really good podcast about how to be kind online and how to be nice to each other. I'll put links in the show notes. But how you interact in these groups makes you even more valuable and approachable for advice, collaborations, or a chance to refer business. You never know what someone's going to be looking for. Some trade shows and conferences offer online components. Take advantage of these for broader networking opportunities. Webinars, in-person, online workshops. Attend these, learn and connect with others. Often in the chats or Q&As, the host will ask where people are from. It's a great way to find people in your area. Or if you have work outside of your area and someone in that area is on the webinar, reach out to them, find out more about them, see if there's someone you can trust. So I promised I would give you some ideas about networking for introverts. I know that most people think I am an extrovert, but there are times when I really struggle, whether it's that first introduction or walking in the door. And so I can really relate to people who don't feel comfortable with it. It's not uncommon for me to ask my podcast guests, what are you not so good at? And have them say networking because they're uncomfortable. So I know some of you are thinking this is all great, but these events stress me out. Okay, I have a few ideas for you. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. Prepare talking points. Come up with a few industry-related topics or questions. It can help ease your anxiety and give you confidence to start conversations. Set manageable goals. You don't need to meet everyone there. Just meet 2 or 3 people and have a good conversation with them. Quality over quantity, always. Something I've done at events as well as family gatherings is to volunteer. Help with registration. You get to meet everybody. Ask if there are things need to be handed out. Offer to do that. Sometimes at parties, I'll say, can I hand out some hors d'oeuvres? It's a great way to walk up and say, oh, excuse me. It's a great way to walk into an existing conversation. At a networking event, there's nothing worse than seeing a group of people and wanting to be able to walk over to them, but not wanting to be awkward, not wanting to insert yourself. If you've got a tray of food, who's not going to let you in? Now, I know we don't serve hors d'oeuvres at that many networking events anymore. It's more of a buffet when there is food, but it works at family gatherings. Trust me, I've done it a number of times. But if there's a way for you to volunteer, it gives you a purpose and defines your role, and it gives you some natural conversation starters. Use LinkedIn. Use industry-specific forums like the library that allow you to connect and engage at a pace that you are comfortable with. Schedule one-on-one meetings. If you don't like to go to large group events, try going to some of the smaller ones or reaching out and saying, hey, I know you're a member of such and such group. I'd love to hear more about it, but I'm a little anxious about attending. Can I buy you a coffee? And you can tell me more about it. Can I meet you at the designer showroom? Got plenty of things to talk about at the showroom. If you have a local friend, bring them with you. Having a familiar face can make a larger event a little less daunting. Just make sure you branch out and meet some new people too. Choose the right events. If an enormous conference with hundreds of vendors is not right for you, then go to a smaller one with more focused gatherings. It'll be less overwhelming than the large trade shows, and you can take breaks. A couple years ago, in Louisville, I was at a conference with my friend Jennifer Aceto. We were walking around the trade show, and I just turned and looked at her. I said, I need to go lay down. She said, Are you okay? Are you sick? I said, no, it's too much talking, too many faces, and too much light and color. I just need a break. I laid down for half an hour and came back downstairs and I started all over again and I was great. So take breaks, walk away. It's okay for you to recharge. Introverts are really very often great at asking thoughtful questions and truly listening. People appreciate that. So if you're overwhelmed by the number of people, find one or two people to talk to and put on your introvert charm and allow them to feel like they matter because you're asking good questions. And again, back to follow up. If in-person interactions are challenging, you can build on connections through some well-written emails, and you can use AI to help you with those emails. Being an introvert in this industry can actually be an advantage. Clients appreciate a thoughtful, listening-focused approach when discussing their projects. Your ability to form deep one-on-one connections can lead to strong, lasting business relationships. So before we wrap this up, I have an idea for you. How about an action item? Sometimes I listen to a podcast and I don't do anything with the information I learn on that podcast. This week, reach out to one person in your network that you haven't spoken to in a little while. If you are struggling with FOMO and are not at CWC, think about someone who's gone that you might want to hear about it from them. Contact them and say, hey, can we get together for coffee when you get back? I'd love to hear about the conference, what you enjoyed about it, what you learned. Might motivate you to start saving for next year. It can just be a quick email if a coffee meetup isn't a good idea. Or maybe they need to collaborate with you on a small project. But if you don't reach out, they won't know it. And if you go to CWC this week, your action item is to take some of those business cards that you collected and reach out to those people and say, hey, it was great to meet you at the Workroom channel booth. How's your new blank working out? Have you tried it yet? It's a great way to connect and start a relationship. I really appreciate that you took the time to listen to this podcast, especially if you were struggling with a little FOMO. I would appreciate it if you have any better ideas or more ideas about networking, if you jumped into the So Much More podcast Facebook group and shared it there. I'm also going to start a thread on the library forum so we can talk about great ways to network. And whether I see you this weekend at CWC or I see you in a Facebook group or we chat in the forum, I hope that what I've talked about here today will serve you and that'll help you to nurture some connections over time so that you don't feel alone when you are in your workroom. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day.